Right now, we're talking about if the San Francisco 49ers could advance to their second Super Bowl in the last 5 years. They're aiming for their sixth Lombardi trophy. And joining us now on the Boxer and Gerson guest line is none other than FS1's own Emmanuel Acho, best-selling author. Emmanuel, thank you so much for joining us. How you doing?
Bang, bang. It's all good, family. It's all good.
Well, you brought up something earlier this week. I thought it was a really interesting point about Brock Purdy and the idea of, like, we've talked about how much better Purdy can get, but looking at the Niners situation, how many quarterbacks could come in and do a better job as far as winning games than what Brock Purdy has done so far? And he needs one more win to be his fourth playoff win in his first two seasons. He needs one win to get to the Super Bowl. I mean, this guy has been incredible. Is there anything more that he can really prove to people outside of hoisting that Lombardi trophy? I don't know what else.
No, I don't think so, because the doubters will doubt even if he does prove it. You know what I'm saying? Like, even if Brock were to go throw for 4 touchdowns and 300 yards against the Lions, people would say, but he's got the best offense. So the haters are going to hate regardless. You know what I'm saying? I think it was, I saw on Netflix's Kirk Cousins said, if I walked on water, people would say it's because I couldn't swim.
Damn.
And that's what it's like with Brock Purdy, bro. So I don't think there's anything left for Brock Purdy to prove outside of taking his team to the Super Bowl and then obviously hoisting the trophy. But hoisting the trophy is hard to do. Get your team there, and then let's talk.
Acho, before we get out of here, I got a question my wife wanted me to ask you. I'm going to save that, but I want to ask you this. If you could tell the Detroit Lions to focus on one component of the game against Green Bay and try to do that, what would it be?
Manipulate the Niners' defensive tackles. The Niners' defensive tackles were super suspect against the Packers. Super suspect. Kinlaw out of position multiple times, getting pushed back. That's why Aaron Jones, 5-yard gain here, 2nd and 6. 2nd and 5. 4-yard gain here, 2nd and 6. 7-yard gain here, 2nd and 3. The Packers were able to play above the chains freaking the whole first 3 quarters. That was the dilemma. So if I'm the Packers, I want to try to attack the Niners on that interior run game, and I want to see if I can run at Logan Ryan, assuming the Niners are going to try to start Logan Ryan again.
Emmanuel Acho joining us here on the Boxer and Gerson guest line. You catch him every weekday on FS1 Speak, also a New York Times best-selling author. And speaking of attacking opposing defenses, I know that everyone has made this about giving the ball to McCaffrey, and everything starts with the run for the 49ers. But I'm looking up and down at this Detroit defense, Emmanuel, and I'm seeing a team that doesn't tackle very well. I'm seeing a team that allows the most yards after catch per game in the NFL. That's where the 49ers are very dangerous. Am I often thinking that this needs to be or can be a pass-first type of approach from Kyle Shanahan, and that Brock Purdy can get busy against the secondary as opposed to that defensive line, which has been very good against the run this year?
It's a really good question. I think it's twofold. I would always want to check the runs first. Let me just see what Detroit's talking about. You know what I'm saying? Let me see if Detroit's run game is as good as people want. Run defense is as good as people want to make it out to be. Plus, you got McCaffrey. Now, if it doesn't work, then let's go quick game. Let's make them tackle in space. Let me get some 3-step slants. Let me get some now screens. Let me get some glance routes. Like, if it doesn't work, then let's get the quick game going, and then I'll go play action to shots. But it's interesting when people say, like, the Niners lean on the run, I would ask, do they? Because with the game on the line, family, versus the Green Bay Packers, McCaffrey got 2 carries on the last drive, y'all. I'm not making this up. He got 2 carries. George Kittle dropped the ball on 2nd and 5. It's 3rd and 5. Kyle Shanahan could have said, all right, let's run it. Let's either get the first or let's go to 4th and 1. He didn't. He called a slant route completion. Then he called another pass. He hit number 84 Conley completion. Then he called another pass. He hit Jennings completion. So it's just interesting how people will say the Niners, they rely on – they do run the ball like every other team. Of course, you got McCaffrey back there, but with the game on the line and Brock Purdy playing as bad as he had played, Shanahan still said, hey, we got 4.5 minutes. Brock, I trust you. Get it done. and Brock got it done. So I think regardless of what has to happen, the Niners get it done, run or pass.
Acho, let me ask you this. I know Kyle's great, but I do have questions because I feel like he should have already had a ring. In your words, how big is it for him to have that Super Bowl win on his resume with all that he's accomplished?
It's a must. It's a must. You know, I can't say that Kyle should have already had a ring only because it's hard to do. Now, when you're up 28-3 against the Patriots, Kyle Shanahan is the offensive coordinator for the Falcons, get it done. Get it done. Find a way to freaking get it done. But, bro, like, now that we know, I mean, think about what Kyle's doing, right? I put it like this. Sean McVay has only ever coached number 1 overall picks. Like, y'all realize that? Mm-hmm. Not first-round picks. He's only ever coached number 1 overall picks. I would hope he got a ring. Dude coached the best quarterback coming out of high school, then coming out of college, then going into the league in Matthew Stafford, and then he coached Jared Goff, number 1 overall pick. So I won't hate on Shanahan for not having a ring, but once he finally gets one, it does 2 things. It shuts everybody up who says he couldn't do it, but more importantly, it proves that Shanahan's way of building works. Shanahan says, I'm going to get an incredibly talented roster, I'm going to get a quarterback for the cheap, and I'm going to inverse the business model which says get an expensive quarterback and just pray and hold on. Shanahan's model, I believe it would prove that it works. So it would prove that Shanahan is, in fact, the football genius that I believe him to be.
Emmanuel Acho joining us here on 95.7, the Game in the Boxer and Gerson guest line. Well, speaking of number 1 overall picks, one of them is playing for Detroit this weekend in Jared Goff, formerly with the Rams. Do you think that because of the, I guess, association with Dan Campbell's demeanor, that this offense kind of gets put on the back burner a little bit because Ben Johnson has been able to orchestrate a quietly very efficient passing game with Jared Goff, obviously Amon-Ra St. Brown and Sam Laporta, but do you think people aren't making enough of how dangerous this offense can be against a San Francisco defense whose secondary did have some issues and has had some issues throughout the season?
Bro, 1,000%. The Lions are the Niners. I repeat, the Lions are a less famous version of the Niners. I challenge you, the listeners, go look this up at home. McCaffrey, I believe, has 21 total touchdowns this season. The Lions running backs combined, they have 24 total touchdowns this season. McCaffrey, I think, has like 2,000 yards on the season. The Lions running back room, they have 2,300 yards on the season. The Lions, they have an all-pro tight end. The Niners, they have an all-pro tight end. The Niners, they have an all-pro wide receiver in Ayuk. The Lions, they have an all-pro wide receiver. The Niners, they have an all-pro left tackle. The Lions, they have an all-pro right tackle, but they also have an all-pro center. Especially if Deebo Samuel does not play, the Lions are the Niners. The difference is the Niners have been the Niners for about 3 years now, so everybody knows what type of time the Niners are on. The Lions have only been the Lions for 1 year. But don't get it twisted. Like, Laporta is Kittle, Gibbs and Montgomery are McCaffrey, Penei Sewell is Trent Williams, Amon-Ra is Ayuk. It's the same team, bro. It's the same team. It's the same team. It's the talent at the same positions. It's elite level talent at the same positions. And I believe that Brock and Goff and Purdy are the same person. I say the same person, not based off skill set, same person in, I think they both do a phenomenal job of running their offenses, period. So, bro, it's the same team. So whatever the hell you think of the Niners offense, think the exact same thing of the Lions offense. Just think that the Niners offense is a little bit better because the Niners have Deebo Samuel.
Acho, let me ask you this. If you're Goodell in an office in New York, and I hate that I'm doing this because we got the Taylor Swift component with Kansas City, but if you want to talk about the sexiest matchup out of these 4 teams for the Super Bowl, who would those 2 be?
Oof, that's a good one. It would probably be Lamar Jackson because they haven't been there since 2012. Man, because the Bay actually is one of the biggest markets in the nation that people don't realize, I'd still probably say the Niners. Now, Detroit, hell of a story. Hell of a story. And I'm actually not super familiar with where Detroit's market ranks as far as television. I just know the Bay's market ranks super high. So I'd probably say bang, bang, the Niners, and I'd probably say the Ravens.
Oh, there you go.
I want to get you out on this, Emmanuel. You mentioned how the 2 teams are kind of mirror of each other. Well, then, is the difference in head coaches, and is that the reason why the Niners will be representing the NFC in the Super Bowl?
Difference is both in head coaches because Kyle Shanahan is not just the head coach, but he's also the offensive mind, whereas Dan Campbell is simply the motivator. So number one thing. Number two thing, at the end of the day, bro, players make plays. And the Niners just have more players. You feel me? Like the Lions have players. Don't get it twisted. But the Niners have more players. Because as soon as you get to the defense, yeah, y'all got Aiden Hutchinson, but the Niners have Nick Bosa. And y'all got a guy named, Jack Campbell and number 34, Anzalone, but Fred Warner, Dre Greenlaw, and then Javarius Ward, and then Demo Lindor. So the Niners have too much. So eventually the Lions going to start shooting blanks. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's what's going to happen.
No doubt. Acho, real quick, we'll get you out of here with this one. My wife's a fan. She said, can you ask Acho? She loves the frames in your fit. We're like Equifax. We get credit. But do you have a stylist, or is that just all you when you pick your wardrobe, family?
We do. Shout out to the whole Fox department.
Oh, okay.
I have a stylist that I consult with, so it's not exclusively your boy, but your boy be hands-on.
All right, there it is.
Well, thank you so much for making time into your very busy day. We appreciate you. We'll look for you on TV today, and thank you for hopping on.
All right, family. We'll see y'all soon. Bang, bang.
That's Emmanuel Acho of FS1.
Oh, man, he's great.